Good morning, everyone, and you're very welcome to today's webinar. Before we get started today, I just want to say that this webinar is being recorded, and we will send everyone an email later today with a link to the recording of the webinar and a copy of the presentation slides. First of all, I want to introduce ourselves. My name is Rachel Hines, and I'm the Marketing Manager here at Thesaurus Software. And as most of you are probably aware, we have two different payroll software solutions. There's Thesaurus Payroll Manager and BrightPay. For today's webinar, I am delighted to be joined by Tom Kelly from Modular. Tom is the strategic lead for Modular's commitment to creating simple, secure and reliable payment capabilities for SMEs and their accountants. And I'll be passing over the reins to Tom, who is going to be presenting most of today's webinar. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can type them into the questions box on your control panel at the side of the screen, and we will try to get through as many questions as possible. Before I pass you over to Tom, I want to very quickly look at why we have decided to partner with Modular. A lot of what we do and a lot of the features that we introduce are about making our customers' lives easier. And you can clearly see this coming through in our new partnership with Modular. Payroll software is used to calculate employees' wages, deduct the right tax and pensions, and communicate this information with revenue. You can also issue payslips to employees and create bank files to make payments to employees. However, before now, when actually making the payment to employees, it was a very manual process with a lot of steps involved. And this is where our new integration with Modular comes in. Instead of creating bank files, you can choose a new option to pay by Modular, giving you a fast, secure, and easy way to pay employees through both BrightPay and Thesaurus Payroll Manager. For now, I'm going to leave it at that, as I don't want to cover and repeat too much of what Tom is going to go through. So I'm going to pass you over to Tom to explain who are Modular and the benefits of this new feature.
Thank you, Rachel. So firstly, I wanted to cover who are Modular. So Modular is a payments as a service platform, and we focus on automating end-to-end payment flows, which enable our partners such as Thesaurus and BrightPay to embed payment functionality into their software to provide a seamless workflow for their customers. The benefits of this are that it removes many manual processes that are inherent in traditional payment activity that your clients use today. It's supported by a reliable platform that's been trusted to transact over 70 million payments worth over 58 billion euros. So why use Modular in your accountancy practice or bureau? Many of you on this webinar will be able to relate to some of the headaches caused by payroll and payment workflows. Outside of using efficient payroll software such as Thesaurus or BrightPay, actually making the payments is often very focused on manual processes today. Having numerous pain points can lead to costly errors, and as we know, payroll needs to be right first time, every time. If you're dealing with lots of different processes across your client base, this is going to increase your overheads and make providing the service very costly. Coupled with the need to keep up with regulatory changes, sometimes it can be difficult to remain competitive when pricing these services. So what are the benefits to your bureau or practice of an integrated payment solution with Modular? So it's going to save you time and make you more efficient. By eliminating errors and automating the full payment workflow and providing you with access to a payment platform that is available 24/7. Because Thesaurus and BrightPay have completed the integration behind the scenes, you get access to a secure and regulatory compliant network. And this will enable you to provide a seamless client experience across all of your clients and offer you a generic process that doesn't differ depending on which bank they're using. And having real-time access to your data relating to payments will give you richer client insights. Now I'd like to provide an overview of how the solution works in practice. The solution allows you to manage your payroll in a few simple clicks. Firstly, you would run your payroll as normal within the payroll software. Then approvers will receive daily notifications of payments awaiting approval. Now, the approvers can be your clients, or you can take that activity in-house and provide it through the accountancy or the bureau. It's important that the client or yourselves maintain a top-up on the Modular account to ensure there are sufficient funds to make the payments. And then whoever has been assigned to authorize the payments can approve those payments in just a few clicks. In addition to your client's view of the portal, which I'll show you later, we also offer, as standard, our payments dashboard for accountancy practices and bureaus. This will provide you with an overview of all of your client activity and workflows. And as we add other integrations, you'll be able to take advantage of those through the same portal. Our solution has been built for accountants and bureaus, and it's based on feedback of what you would want to see in a solution like this. For accountants and bureaus, it enables you to have one single view of all your clients in a single platform. This significantly reduces any overheads of providing services to multiple clients at once. Each individual client will have their own Modular account. And depending on how you set it up, you can indicate that each client can approve their own payments, or you can take that responsibility on behalf of your clients. This gives full control over the client activity, and the client can remain in control of the final payment before it is released. Now we're going to move to the product demo. Rachel will show you the payment software functionality, and then I'll jump back in to show you how it works on the Modular side.
Great, thanks, Tom. So I'm just going to jump into the payroll software here. And as I mentioned earlier, this functionality is available with both Thesaurus Payroll Manager and BrightPay. So first I'll start with BrightPay, and then I'll show you the same process in Thesaurus Payroll Manager. And the first step is to run your payroll as normal in BrightPay. After finalizing the payslips, simply click Pay and choose Modular from the drop-down. You need to first read this information on screen. It'll give you some information about what Modular is. It's important to note that if you wish to use this feature, you will need to set up an account with Modular in advance, and there is a link to sign up to Modular on this first screen. I already have a Modular account set up, so I'm going to click Continue. First, you will be prompted to enter your Modular username and password, and once completed, click Sign in to Modular. You will also need to authenticate your Modular login through an app called Authy on your mobile device, and you will have already set up and installed Authy on your smartphone when setting up your Modular account. Here you will get a notification on your device, and you simply need to select Approve as you would with logging into online banking. Once signed in, a match attempt will be made to your Modular account using the employer registration number entered in your BrightPay employer file. Where a successful match is detected, the employer's name will be displayed automatically, or if multiple employer names are shown, you can select the name of the client that you are processing the payroll for from the drop-down listing. When ready, click Continue. You will now see a list of your employees on screen, and the employees will only appear here if their payment method is set to credit transfer. Here you can select the amount that you want, or the account that you want to make the payment from. you can enter the payment date, and where you send this payment request before 2 p.m., you will be able to make same-day payments. Over to the right, you can deselect any employees who you wish to include from the payment request. You should also double check that the IBAN is correct for each of your employees. And again, this information is taken from the employee's records. Enter a reference for the payment if desired. And the payment amount for each employee will reflect the employee's take-home pay on their payslip for the pay period being paid. And you can amend this figure here if you wish. And when ready, click Continue. A summary of your payment request will now be displayed for final review. And when ready to submit your payment request to Modular, click Send to Modular. Another Authy notification will be sent to your mobile device asking for you to approve the payment request. And once approved, confirmation will be displayed on screen. The person authorized on the associated Modular account can now log into their Modular portal to approve the payments. So that's the process in BrightPay. And now I'm going to jump into Thesaurus Payroll Manager. And to be honest, the process is pretty much identical to the process that we've just seen with BrightPay. So I am just going to very quickly run through it. After updating your payslips as you normally would, simply click Payslips and select Pay using Modular. On the first screen, again, we have an overview of Modular with links to sign up and fields to enter your username and password. Like with BrightPay, you will need to authorize the login through the Authy app on your smartphone or tablet by clicking Approve. And once signed in, a match attempt will be made to your Modular account using the employer registration number entered in your Thesaurus Payroll Manager employer file. Again, if multiple employer names are shown, you can choose a different employer from the drop-down menu. And when ready, click Continue. We're through to the main screen now, and as you can see, it is pretty identical to the same screen in BrightPay. You can choose the account that you want to make the payment from and enter the payment date. Remember to double check the IBAN for each employee. A default salary reference of salary will be entered for each employee. And if you wish to change the reference, you can click on this field on an employee's payment line and enter the new reference. Or you can also enter a global payment reference to change the reference for all employees. Again, the payment amount for each employee will reflect the employee's take-home pay on their payslip for this pay period. And should you wish to exclude any employees from the payment submission, simply click on the word yes and the payment line and it will change to no. By default, employees who have an end date within the pay period will not be included for payment. But if you wish to include leavers, you can click on the word no and it will change it to yes. So when ready, click Continue. A summary of your payment request will now be displayed for final review. And when ready to submit the request to Modular, click Send to Modular. Again, another Authy notification will be sent to your mobile device asking for you to approve the payment request. And once approved, confirmation will be displayed on screen, and the person authorized on the associated Modular account should now log in to Modular, or when ready to do so, to approve the payments. And Tom, I'm going to pass it back to you now to show you how it works on the Modular side.
Thanks, Rachel. So now I'm showing you the screens that would be presented to your client if you have agreed that the client will do the approval part of the process. So they will be presented with their account details, and it will also have their balance so that they can be sure that they've got enough funds in there to cover the payments that are due to be made. And then you can see there over the left-hand side, they will see that they have some approvals waiting for them to approve. So they would click those. Then they will be presented with all of the data that has been transferred from the Thesaurus or the BrightPay software. And this will have all of the payment details, all the beneficiary names, and all of the account IBAN details that have been provided from the software will already be pre-populated into the payments. So as the client, all I need to do is confirm that I'm happy with those payments. So in this case, I can select them all. I can then go to approve. It will give me a confirmation to say that I'm approving 4 payments at this point for $3,657.07. I confirm that that's what I wanted to pay. As Rachel described, every user will have access to the Authy app. So this is ensuring that I can authenticate the payment. I'll get the notification, confirm that the amount is as expected, press approve, and that will say that I have no further approvals left. If those payments were due to go today, then they would be remitted into the payment network immediately. In this particular example, we had future dated those payments. So I'll be able to see those in my pending payments, and they will await until the due date that the payment is due. So in this example, the future date was the 2nd of November. So it will tell me against each of those payments when that payment is due. So that's all the client needs to do. So it's a simple approval process. Once they've gone into the pending, they don't need to do anything more. Just ensure that they have sufficient funds to cover the payments. And once the due date and the approval have all been met, then the payments will automatically be submitted into the payment network. I'm now also going to show you the accountant and bureau view. So as an accountant or bureau, you'll have your own login details. So you'll sign in. Again, you will authenticate so that we know that it's you that's signing into the network. And then you'll be presented with the payment dashboard that I mentioned earlier. And this dashboard gives you insights into all of your clients that are attached to the platform. So in this example, this is telling me that I have 4 transactions that are unapproved. And this will give me a holistic view across all the clients. So I'd be able to drill down and have a look at that. I can see which customer it relates to. And then I'd be able to drill down and notify the customer if it was the customer that was going to do the approvals, or if the customer had delegated that to myself, then that would give me a reminder that I needed to complete the approvals for that particular client. There's also a very useful functionality around funding. So this will enable me to, at a glance, see if any of my clients need to fund their accounts. So I can click onto view accounts, and this will tell me that this particular client needs to fund their Modular account with €3,657.07 so that the payments can be remitted. So that would enable me to give the client a nudge to make those funds, or if I had authority to transfer those funds on behalf of the client, then I would do that myself as well as the bureau. So that gives you a good indication of the view from a payment dashboard, and we're continuously adding to this solution. So based on feedback from accountants and bureaus, our aim is to add additional widgets down in this area, depending on the types of things that you would want to see for your clients. So please do feedback using the provide feedback section down at the bottom. Finally, I want to take you through our pricing options, how to onboard the service, and the support that's available to you. Firstly, looking at pricing. So there are 3 main pricing plans available to accountants and bureaus. All of these are transaction-based. There are no lengthy commitments, and everything is on a rolling monthly contract basis. Payment is made by card, which is entered at the time of subscription. So our standard pricing starts at 30 cents per transaction. And that is based on a monthly minimum spend of €12 for the accountancy practice or bureau. So it doesn't matter how many clients you add onto the service, you will just be charged the minimum amount of €12, which includes 40 outbound transactions. And then every additional transaction is charged at 30 cents. So you're only paying for what you use once you've gone above the 40. If your volumes are over 500 outbound transactions across all of your clients each month, then you would be better to move onto our extra pricing plan, which reduces the transaction fee down to 27 cents per transaction and is subject to a minimum monthly spend of €135, which includes 500 outbound transactions per month. For the higher volume users, we also have our advanced package, which enables you to get the per transaction cost down to 25 cents. And that's based on a minimum monthly spend of €300 across your practice or bureau. So that's split across all of your clients. And that includes 1,500 outbound transactions per month, and each additional transaction being charged at 25 cents. If you have significantly higher volumes than, say, 2,000 to 3,000 outbound transactions and have plans to grow your volumes even higher, then one of my sales team can work with you for something more bespoke depending on your requirements. Next, I just want to talk through how you need to onboard yourself as a practice and add your clients. Firstly, as Modular is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland, we're required to conduct due diligence checks on all of our customers, and that includes individual clients and accountancy practices and bureaus. So you'll be required to provide some basic business information as part of your application. And generally, most applications are approved within 2 days. And that's obviously subject to all the appropriate documentation being submitted at the time of the application. It's important to allow time to get yourself set up and to start to onboard your first clients. Sometimes clients can take a while to add the information that's required for the application. So if you've got a payroll run that is due imminently, we recommend that you plan ahead and help your client through the process to ensure that you're not left in a situation where they've not been approved or we're waiting for information from them and you've got a payroll run to do immediately. In terms of getting customers through the process as quick as possible, the more simple the company structure, the better. Just makes it easier for the process to happen. So structures with island-based owners will be the quickest to complete that process. And on our application form, it gives you full details of acceptable customer types, which are private limited companies, designated activity companies, companies limited by guarantee, limited partnerships, general partnerships, sole traders, and unlimited companies. So as long as your clients fit into one of those categories, then we can progress with their applications. Now, just to run through how you go about getting set up. So simply, you would register your practice through our online application form. Modular will then review your application. And once approved, we'll send you a welcome email, which will enable you to log in to the portal and start using the Modular and have access to your payment dashboard. We'll then work with you to help you to onboard your individual clients. And on the next slide, I'll go into more detail on the process of how you would go about adding your clients. So to help smooth this through, we provide you with access to a dedicated practice enablement manager. And they'll support you with planning how to approach your client base and provide all of the tools that you'll need to promote the solution to your clients. So initially, we'll start by planning, and creating an onboarding process with you for your clients, depending on how you interact with them. We'll then help you to invite your clients to register with Modular using our client manager tool. Once the clients have received their invitation and then submit their applications, Modular will review those applications, will then approve them, and once they're approved, they will receive their welcome email from Modular. Once they have that email, they'll be instructed to download the Authy app that I showed you during the product demo, so that they can authenticate their sign-ins and approval of transactions. And then they will link their account to you as the accountant or bureau. So this is them authorizing you to operate the solution on their behalf. Once that's done, which is a one-off process, then you're able to start submitting payments on behalf of your clients. Support for the solution is provided by the Modular team, which is based in the UK, with enhanced levels of support during our core working hours of 8 till 6 on weekdays. As mentioned, our practice enablement managers will support your rollout across your client base. This will start with a kick-off meeting to agree your individual goals, and we'll also provide you with access to our client manager tool to enable you to invite your clients, and then provide access to our accountancy resource center, which has lots of detailed guides on how to use the solution and also marketing materials that you can use. So that's the end of my segment. I've added some links there in terms of the website, should you require any further information, and also an email address that takes you directly into my team, who can help you with any inquiries that you may have regarding the solution. I'll now hand you back to Rachel.
Wonderful. Thanks, Tom, for joining us for today's webinar. We do have a few questions coming in here, so bear with me as I get them open. But yeah, if you do have any questions, feel free to type them into the questions box on your screen, and we will try to get through as many questions as possible. So the first question here is, does the person running the payroll also need to have Authy app downloaded?
So anybody that is submitting payments into the Modular platform, at the point where you are submitting the payments, you do need to provide your credentials. So yes, you would need the Authy app on your device. It doesn't have to be on a mobile phone. There is a web version as well that you can utilize.
Brilliant. The next question here is, when we talk about fees per transaction, if I am processing for a client who has 5 employees to pay, is that 5 by 30 cents, or is the client payments classed as one transaction?
So each individual employee payment is classed as a transaction. So if there are 5 employees, then that would be 5 transactions.
Brilliant. The next question here, can you pay revenue with Modular? So I suppose I can take that one if you want, Tom.
Okay,
so at the moment, no, you can only pay your employees using the Modular functionality. I know in our UK software, you can pay HMRC through BrightPay as well, but in Ireland at this time, it is just paying employees. You still have the normal way of paying revenue. There's another question here. Are funds held with Modular covered by the government guarantee deposit scheme of €100,000?
As an e-money institution, we actually have to hold 102% of all funds in a ring-fenced account. So it's 100% coverage rather than being 100,000 limit as you mentioned there. So you've got 100% coverage plus 2% as like a tolerance on top of that, and all funds are ring-fenced and protected for each individual client.
Great. We have another question here on the pricing. Does the client have to pay as well as the bureau?
No, so we would just bill the bureau in line with those pricing plans, and then that enables you to, as a bureau, to decide how you whether you pass that charge on to the client or whether you mark it up or whatever that would be invisible to the client.
Great. The next question here then is, does Modular allow payments to foreign-based bank accounts, for example, N26?
So within the SEPA payments, so we can make those payments within the SEPA region, which is a list of 36 countries, which we can provide a list of to anybody that needs to have that information after the webinar.
Brilliant. The next person here is just looking for clarification. So to confirm, we have to put the funds into a Modular account first and wages go from there.
That's correct. So the user, normally the client would regularly fund the Modular account based on sort of anticipated total payroll value. So depending on the frequency, if it was a weekly payroll, for example, then they would fund it weekly, or if it's a monthly payment, then they tend to just fund it just in time ahead of the payroll run. But you can leave funds sitting in the Modular account, so some clients choose to do that as well.
Brilliant. As a payroll bureau, what is the advantage of Modular compared to the normal business banking the client currently does?
So by offering Modular accounts to your clients, you're streamlining the process because it's a full integration between Thesaurus and BrightPay and Modular, which means that the data relating to the payments is automatically transferred into the Modular platform. So there's no risk of mistyping amounts or corrupting a file or losing details of the IBAN bank account details. It's also far more secure because you're not taking data out of one system and then passing it out for uploading into a bank or rekeying. And also you have full control over the costs and the costing plan, regardless of which banks your client is using, because you're doing this through one generic platform. The end-to-end process is the same for your bureau or practice, regardless of where your individual client banks.
Great. The next question here is, are transfers to top up the Modular account processed the same day, or should they be transferred the day before?
So if you submit, the way the SEPA credit transfer scheme works is that there is a 2 p.m. cut-off. So as long as you submit the payment before 2 p.m., then that guarantees that the funds will appear during that same calendar day. So it's advisable to ensure that the funds are probably there at least the day before you're expected to do your payroll run.
Great. The next question here, what if an error is made when processing and finalising the payslips? Can a correction in value being transferred be processed in the same week?
So if you've already submitted the payments from Thesaurus or BrightPay into the Modular platform at that point, then you decide that you no longer want to make that payment, you can decline the transaction at the approval step. So that will make sure that the transaction doesn't go. Or even after you've approved it, if it's a future dated payment, you could then go into the pending payments and you could cancel the payment before it's submitted into the payment platform. And then you would, so that would be the end of it from the Modular perspective, and then you would resubmit a payment from the Thesaurus or BrightPay payroll back into the Modular system, and then you would go through the same process to approve it again.
Great. Do you have to set up a new bank account?
So you're creating a modular account, which is an e-money account for each of the clients. So as part of the application process, once that's approved, when we've done the compliance checks, then we automatically create the e-money account on the platform, which has full IBAN details that you then use to fund that account.
Brilliant. Another question here. Do Modular get interest based on funds being held in their account from clients?
No, so the accounts are non-interest bearing accounts. So as an e-money institution, we aren't able to provide interest bearing accounts. So that's why most clients would just use the account in a transitory way, i.e. just ensuring funds are there available for the payment runs as and when they're due.
Great. And what marketing material is available for accountants when rolling it out to their clients?
So we have quite a comprehensive accountancy resource centre, and our practice enablement managers would provide you with access to that once you're set up. And that has various templates that you can use for emailing your clients. It also has social media templates and also a range of case studies that you can use to help promote the solutions. We also have the ability to work with practices that are looking to roll out on a larger scale with some bespoke support. So that there's a whole range of different things available from a marketing perspective.
Wonderful. They'd definitely be a great help to accountants. There's another question here. Are there bank charges applying to the Modular account?
No, so there's no additional charges over and above the subscriptions that I went through on the pricing plan. The only additional fees, which would be in the terms and conditions, were if you wanted to open significant accounts, a significant number of accounts per client. So there's some additional fees for those, but generally, as long as for most clients that isn't an issue. Or if you wanted to receive payments not through the SEPA process into the accounts, then there may be some additional charges for those, but generally everything is included within the subscription fee that I mentioned.
Brilliant. Another question here. If one employee's net pay details are not approved because they're incorrect, does the whole thing have to be cancelled and resubmitted, or can you just decline and resubmit the one employee's amended details?
So once the transactions appear on the Modular platform, each one of those is treated as an individual. It's not treated as a batch. So you can individually approve or decline each one of those.
Great. We are a business using Thesaurus Bureau, but pay employees under 3 different companies. Does each of the companies need to be set up and approved on Modular?
Yes, so each of those employers would go through our onboarding process, and then you would have a separate Modular account for each one of those in which the payments would originate from.
Brilliant. And Tom, can you clarify how long would it typically take to get onboarding completed and the account set up?
So we normally say as long as the client provides all the information that's asked of them on the application form, and it's a generally straightforward setup, i.e. Irish beneficial or beneficial owners based in Ireland, and a straightforward company structure, then normally within 2 days. But if there are any complexities associated with the application, then our team might have to reach back and ask additional questions, which can add a few days to that process.
Great. So yeah, it's advised that if you do want to use the functionality, obviously you can't use it straight off as soon as you go to process it. You do need to set up the account, which can take a few days. So that seems to be all of the questions that have come through there today. So I think we can finish up there. But if anyone does have any other questions, feel free to send us an email. I know Tom's email address is there on screen as well. But yeah, so that's it from us. We will send out an email later today with a link to the recording of the webinar and a copy of the slides as well. And a massive thank you again to Tom for joining us for today's webinar. And we hope everyone found it useful. Thank you. Bye.